Welcome back to Adventure Now in Torshavn, where our bow is facing south, ready to depart this fine land and these beautiful northern latitudes that we have called home for the last 3 months. Please join us for the following trip down memory lane and witness me losing any man points that I have left. When we first started sailing up to these more northern latitudes, in some ways it reminded me of being a child. I'm sure we can all remember those times when we sneaked into a room in the house that we weren't meant to be in. There was a palpable, nervous, exciting tingling up our spines that felt good as our eyes searched frantically to take in every sight in this forbidden room. At the back of our minds, and increasing that nervous tension, was always the feeling of being caught red-handed where you shouldn't be. This only served to increase the nervous tension and excitement as we continued this foray into forbidden land. There was a realization that the need to retreat was getting ever closer, and when the tingling nervous energy reached fever pitch, we made for the door and back into safe, familiar territory. Once our pulses returned to normal, a feeling of disappointment would creep in. Why didn't we stay longer? Why didn't we make the most of it? We should have looked around more and taken it all in. At that point, you realise that you have to go back. And that is precisely what I meant when I said that sailing north made me feel like a child. This was our foray into the forbidden land, the unknown. The nervous energy and excitement has been on overdrive for the last 3 months. And come on, we all know how good that feeling was as a child. And let me tell you, it does not fade with age. Unfortunately, we are now about to make for the door and leave it all behind. But we are already making plans to return to these and more northern latitudes once again. The reason for this is simple. The nervous, tingling excitement up your spine is addictive. We were all addicted as children, but adulthood weaned us from this wonderful drug. We should never leave it way back in our childhood. We should carry it through our whole lives. It has given us a new lust for life, to step outside our comfort zones, feel exposed, open, and yet stand tall and take it all in. I have now realised that what I felt as a child was true. The rooms that you're not meant to look in, the places that seem a little far away and maybe just out of reach, there you will find the special sights waiting for your gaze.
We weren't really going to show much about Torshavn because we've been here and filmed it on a couple of occasions, but it's been foggy so far this morning, and this place is incredible. When the fog clears, the sun comes out, the colours just come alive. We love this place, we're going to miss it, but as usual, we'll be back. This is the morning of departure. We've had 3 months up in these awesome latitudes, and we're heading back to Scotland today. In a couple of hours we will be leaving the dock. It's that time again. We're excited to be going back down to Scotland, but sad to be leaving this beautiful place up here.
It's a fabulous morning to leave Torshavn, but I will miss Faroe. I will miss so much.
Me too. Yeah, it's quite strange, isn't it? I just think it's amazing how quickly the last almost 3 months has gone. And now we are setting to sea bound for bonny Scotland, which is cool in itself.
Sometimes you cannot compromise. That's true with time and tide. They won't slow down or wait for you, but you can certainly hitch a ride. So jump on now and hold on tight, that's how it has to be. Don't wait too long or plan too much. Follow your heart and you'll be free.
dreamy sailing conditions at the moment. We left Torshavn and the wind dropped off, so we motored for 3 hours. We've now got 14 knots just behind the beam. Little close encounter with the fishing boat diving across our bow. I guess a miss is as good as a mile, but a little bit close. He's not actually engaged in fishing and we are under sail. All's fair, I guess. I wouldn't want it that close at night.
No. We are just 12 hours into the passage and we are sailing beautifully. We had a few hours of motoring, but now the wind picked up and we are making great progress.
Pretty sweet really, nice consistent wind, making some good comfortable progress in some nice flat water. We had a pretty good night. The wind was meant to be a little more fickle than it actually was, so we did 135 miles in 24 hours, which isn't too bad. Rolled around a little bit, the wind has now gone a bit more north, so we have got the wind up the stern, which makes it a little bit difficult to carry both sails. But we're getting there. Now it's breakfast time. Got a craving for some boiled eggs, so that's what it's going to be.
My princessa melted in the sun. It's not the first thing that had a meltdown on board today.
There was a little meltdown earlier on, I will admit. It involved mistiming some boiled eggs, and I decided I would put up with my hard boiled eggs when what I wanted was soft boiled eggs. When a wave came and knocked them off the plate, I decided to do the only thing on my mind at the time, and that was to cast them into the depths with a swear word as goodbye for each one of them. Which you found entertaining, I know. But meltdown over, then I boiled some more eggs, and then the gas ran out, so they were underdone. But I didn't want to consign any more eggs to the depths, so I enjoyed them in their very, very runny state. And I felt you just looking at me laughing as I ate them. Hopefully that'll stop this banging around.
Yeah, but nice.
We're a bit dead downwind, so, and not a lot of wind, and the rolling sea is making it clatter about, so hopefully we can stop that. Make it a bit more pleasant.
Yeah.
Well, we've been banged senseless by the sails. No more banging required. Engines going on. And we'll have a slow cruise in these 6 to 7 knots of breeze. This boat's rolling so much that the sails are just getting knocked around. So goodbye silence. Well, not really silent with the wind bashing in the sails, is it? Hello Perkins, thank you for waking up.
Hey Perkins. I adore you.
Dinner in a sun-soaked cockpit. Yes, we like it.
We do.
Drink for you, Ashy.
Thank you very
Love
much.
for the ocean waves. Home in the rolling sea.
Cheers.
Cheers. Just up on the bow to get the ship's anchor ready to deploy. I'm just going to take the purple rope off. There is no land in sight. The north coast of Scotland is 25 miles that way, but by the time we are there it is going to be dark. So I'm going to get that bit done now. So we are as ready as we can be when we creep into the loch, probably somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning.
So here we are, actually 4 o'clock in the morning, and proceeding carefully towards the white leading light on top of a rocky outcrop, and then we picked up the quick flashing white light of a North Cardinal. Using these two lights and the radar return off the rocks, we threaded our way in to the narrow loch. This is Loch Inchard, and 2 miles in we found our anchorage.
Can you guys stand? 5 seconds.
And before we knew it, the anchor was down and we were back in Scotland.
Cheers to our Icelandic and Faroese adventure, and to being back in Scotland.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Picking our way into the loch at 4 o'clock in the morning was quite nerve-wracking, especially after 44 hours at sea. After a wee dram and an Ovaltine, we went to bed. 5 hours later, my alarm went off and I had to drag my backside above deck. But I was so pleased that I did, because the sun was shining and the views all around were gorgeous. As we chilled out, we spotted Border Force approaching. They came alongside, were extremely friendly, helpful and checked us in. We then decided to move one loch south.
Bit of a difference between daytime and the dead of night, that's for sure. This is much more pleasant now. Beautiful place.
This place looked so menacing by night, but so beautiful by day. We retraced our steps, past the North Cardinal and back out to sea. Surely this couldn't be Scotland. It felt almost tropical.
Gorgeous part of the west coast. Absolutely lovely. So many little islands dotted around.
Hopping through these islands is awesome. Brilliant day.
It's cool, isn't it? The sun shining. What an opportunity to just pop to the next loch. And I tell you what, I do love navionics on the iPhone. We've got it running over there, which is awesome. But it's just so easy to spot your little gaps through. We don't normally cruise through this close to rocks, but there's plenty of depth. It's a beautiful day, loads of visibility. And if we're going to go to Norway next year, we need to be a bit more used to going close to some big rocks.
Oh, it felt so good to be back on the west coast of Scotland. As I have said before, some of my heart belongs here, and as it turns out, this year we can put that to the test, because we have decided to winter here on the west coast in Largs Marina. This will put us in good stead for pushing further north early on in the season next year, and also means that we have this as our cruising ground for the rest of the season and perhaps into winter.
I think this is a spectacular little spot around here. The only problem I can see so far is just an annoying amount of tourists and other boats taking up the anchorages. So I'm just coming more and more like the Mediterranean all the time, you know, getting hotter and crowded. What can you do?
We are about to drop an anchor in this amazing anchorage. Mark doesn't like to wait for me, so he's recommissioning the dinghy by himself.
Well, I'm impatient, as you know.
Oh, you are, yeah.
Excited about getting this little baby going again. I was just trying to think, was it stored away in Holy Island before we got to Amble?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So a few months ago, we're going to drop it in the water, and faithful little mariner that's been sleeping in that little cosy sleeping bag here is going to jump right into life. You know it, and I know it.
I know. Let's give it a go.
How many pulls do you reckon?
I reckon 3, because it's you. If it was me, it would be more, but it's you.
Fuel on, choke on, give it a bit of a crank. I think it's going to be 7. Oh. Beautiful! 4 cranks, an old Mariner engine under the dinghy for 3 months. It's been up, down, well you've missed a lot. You've been to Peterhead, you didn't see, Faroe Islands, Iceland, round the top, back down, now back up to Scotland. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Ah, I love the smell of a 2-stroke in the morning.
This beautiful oasis of calm is Ardmore, a remote crofting village 3 miles from the road on the northwest coast of Scotland. It is also the home of the Ridgway family, who opened the Rigdway School of Adventure in 1964. This beautiful ketch is English Rose 6, and you can Google to your heart's content the impressive list of sea voyages, circumnavigations and expeditions completed aboard this fine vessel.
What are you doing sneaking up behind me? Eh?
As you just heard me say, we are a long way from the road here, which means no shops. So we are living off two food sources. One, Altor's supplies, and two, the Polish forager. This one always gets a bit strange, but now she was after mushrooms. Oh dear. All I could see was trips to the hospital or trips to the moon, but Asher read everything like a menu. I decided to be very optimistic and look for a pub, or even a moonshine distillery, and at the end of the path we met, and whilst I had failed in my quest, Asher was already eating.
I found salad material.
This is the kind of thing I have to put up with all the way. I turn my back for a second and you've got your nose down in something else that you're eating.
We're gonna get some for salad.
Can I see what snack you're holding in your left hand?
It's a mushroom.
Just, please.
But I'm not gonna eat it raw, I'm gonna cook it later.
Well done you.
I think we can depart before the midges eat us.
Yep, we've had a little introduction into the Scottish midges. Beautiful and clear this water. So lovely.
We quickly nipped back to Altor to arm ourselves with midgie spray, and then we carried on exploring. I think more is more when it comes to that mosquito repellent. See Asher plastering it on. Well done you.
That's so good, isn't it?
Beautiful. It's very mild, heather smells beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no one around, it's glorious.
Such a peaceful place.
There's a magic about the west coast of Scotland, which I first experienced in 2017 when I sailed around here on my previous boat. And coming back here last year with Asher on board Altor of Down was absolutely spectacular. Asher just said to me that there's a magic here, so I think her second time of visiting the west coast of Scotland has made that magic manifest, and she's feeling something rather special about being back in this place.
Something that keeps showing itself to us is that motion is always good. Like anyone, we get attached to places and we find it hard to move on. Sometimes we feel that we might not be able to repeat the beauty that we have left behind. But coming to this part of the west coast of Scotland, somewhere neither of us have been before, has opened a whole new chapter of beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us and coming along for the ride. We really hope you enjoy these episodes, and if so, please stay tuned for more. Altor out.
Be very afraid. Polish girl coming through. The only thing that's worse than that is a Welsh man. It's basically a game of how many different vantage points of the boat can you get. If I stared at any other she like this, I'd be arrested.
Totally edible. Corky.
Be afraid, Mark. Be very afraid. Well, it's taken a while, but September the 3rd, 2021, peace is restored on Altor of Down.